All right, number 4. Barney has a comparative advantage. Now, by comparative advantage, we mean Barney can produce something with a lower opportunity cost than Betty. Now, opportunity cost is different from absolute cost. All right? So here, let's go look. Every time Barney produces a bread, he gives up 2 pies. All right? But now we know this. I can flip this around as well. I know that 1 pie for Barney is equal to a half of bread. Okay? So 1 pie for Barney, every time he produces a pie, he's going to give up half a bread. Okay? Let's go to Betty. Well, we already know that. Every time she produces 1 pie, she has to give up a lot more bread. She has to give up 4/3 of a bread. Wait a minute. Even though she's more productive, she has a higher opportunity cost of producing pies than Barney does. Right? Again, I'll come back. Every time Barney produces a pie, he only gives up half a loaf of bread. Every time Betty produces a pie, she gives up 4/3, or a loaf and another third more. Okay? So she definitely loses more bread every time she produces a pie than Barney does. The answer is D. Barney has a comparative advantage in pies, and Betty has a comparative advantage in loaves of bread. So let me just make sure that's clear. Again, every time he produces a pie, he gives up a half of bread. Every time she produces a pie, she gives up 4/3 of bread. Let's flip it around. All right? Therefore, what does 1 bread cost Betty? And I'll put it in red here. So, therefore, 1 bread is equal to 3/4 a pie. Now, let's go over here to Barney. Every time Barney produces a bread, what does he give up in pies? So, we know that 1 bread for Barney is equal to 2 pies. And I'll write it over here. 1 bread for Betty is only equal to 3/4 of a pie. In other words, the opportunity cost, okay, of producing a bread for Barney, every time he produces a bread, he gives up 2 pies. Every time Betty produces a bread, she only gives up 3/4 of a pie. So, Betty, the opportunity cost of producing bread for Betty is relatively small compared to the opportunity cost when Barney produces a bread. Every time he produces a bread, he gives up 2 pies. Every time she produces a bread, she only gives up 3/4 of a pie. So Betty has a comparative advantage in the production of bread. Let's write this down. And Barney has a comparative advantage in pies. All right? And the reason is because the opportunity cost for Barney of producing a pie is less in terms of bread, and the opportunity cost for Betty of producing a pie is relatively expensive. She gives up 4/3 of bread. The opposite is true for the production of bread. So, let's look at the last one, number 5. It says, if Barney and Betty both specialize in the production in which they have a comparative advantage, then total production will be 7. The bread will be 7, and total production of pies will be 15. Total production will be bread will be 20, and total production of pies will be 14. So, if Barney specializes in pies, they'll get 14 pies. And if Betty specializes in bread, they'll have 20 breads, and then they can go and change. Okay? And what you're going to find out is that because of their specialization and when they trade, people like Barney are going to be able to consume at a higher level. He'll be able to get outside his production possibility frontier and consume more bread than he would if he only produced the goods himself and didn't trade. And Betty, the same thing. Remarkably, even though she has an absolute advantage in both goods, because she specializes in the good for which she has a comparative advantage, she's going to be able to specialize and trade and actually buy pies from Barney at a cheaper price than she could buy them from herself. All right.